Are you always on the hunt for fresh creative ideas? This week, the creative design team is here to help with tips on how to take inspiration from someone else's work to create your very own unique design. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie. In today's video, I'm going to scrap lift my very good friend Chelsey. I've been sitting around feeling a little under the weather, and one of Chelsey's video really spoke to me. I actually had these photos right here on my desk. These are original photos. I don't have others. And yes, I could scan them and make them bigger or smaller, but I'm just going to work with what I have right here. And we're going to do a one-page layout because I only have 3 photos. I am using the same paper collection, and as you can see here, I don't have a lot left. I did a really big workshop, 10-page workshop with this gorgeous collection, and this is what I have left. These are my scraps, and I really do feel that I can achieve a really pretty layout with just these small pieces here. I will be bringing in the same cut file. This is a cut file from Paige Evans, and I will link that information down below. In Chelsey's video, she backed it with really pretty paper. I'm going to do the same, but as you can see, I don't have a lot to play with. So I thought, why not bring one of these photos right here in the center. I think that that's going to look really, really cute. So we are using the same collection. We are using the same stamp set. Now, if you're new to mixed media, this stamp set right here is phenomenal. It's got really good patterns, and this word art right here is really, really nice. So I'm going to use this on my background. Now, funny thing is, the one thing that drew me to Chelsey's layout was the whimsical circles that she showed us, and I will link her video down below for sure. When I started playing around with what I had on hand, I wasn't really happy with the results. And because I was using my Cricut, I started off with drawing a whole bunch of circles with my Cricut. This is like a gel pen. It's got a little bit of glitter. Definitely is not translating into that whimsical feel that Chelsey originally created. So I covered the whole surface of my white daisy cardstock with gesso, and then I did these circles right here. Now, I wasn't too happy with the condition of my cardstock. Because I'm using just white daisy cardstock, I felt that it was really, really warping, and I really didn't want to put my photos on this. So I decided that although this is what drew me to her layout, I'm going to take a different direction. I'm going to bring in this stencil pack. This is stencil pack number 1, and it's meant for cards, but look at this pack. It's got this really nice splash of water. Hopefully you can see that. And it's got these really cool circles that will mimic this pattern paper right here. I'm going to build my background with stencils and some stamping, and I'll bring in something a little unexpected. So let me clear off my desk and let me go back to my Cricut so that I can get the backing pieces for this overlay, and we're gonna get started. I've gone ahead here and I've cut all of the pieces that are going to back that overlay, and it's gonna look really, really good. I do want to put the photo in the center, so I did keep the circle, so the negative part of the sun, and I'm just gonna line it up here to see where I want to cut that photo, because you know this is a one and done. I don't have a second photo. I'm being pretty brave here. I'm gonna go ahead and I am going to cut all around that circle. So I'm just really holding it in place, and I'm giving myself like about 1/4 of an inch bigger, because I know that I'm gonna need that to glue it to the overlay. So I'm just gonna cut it just like so, and we're gonna start assembling this overlay. So we're going to add the photo first, and then we're going to add that really nice yellow for the sun. I'm just going to try and line this up here. There we go. So that looks really good for that photo. And then I'm going to add all of the other pieces. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just adding glue to the back side of the overlay, and then I'm going to flip that over on my all-purpose mat. And I found that This works really, really well. You can actually line up what you want to glue down, and if there's any extra glue, it's going to stick to the Versamat, and not the Versamat, the all-purpose mat, I should say. And I found that that was really helpful because there's always a little bit of glue that kind of oozes out, and you can just wipe it up, and then you can keep on with the assembly. So I'm going to add that big piece, which is the sun, and it actually looked really nice as a full yellow sun, but this photo is kind of cute. I think you'll agree. I'm not going to make you watch me do this entire overlay. We've got so many other fun things to do together. Now take a look at the layout just like so. It looks really good. I did go ahead and I did cut on my Cricut Grandma's for Grandma's Pool. I will link the font that I use down below. And I did cut my photos. They're odd size for me. That's a 4 by 4 3/4, I think. This one here is a 3 by 4, and I'm going to tuck it right underneath that gorgeous title. It looks pretty good, just like that. And don't forget, we did cut that little photo right here using that negative part. But now we're going to build our background. So I'm going to move all of these pieces out of the way, and I'm going to use these really great stencils, and we're going to build this pretty awesome background. Well, at least I think so. So let's use Capri ink right here at the bottom, and I'm going to start right here on the edge. And basically what I need to concentrate on is the bottom of the page and fade out to the top. See, when I bring my title, don't really need to concentrate in the center too much. So I'm going to add a little bit more color, definitely right here at the bottom, because you're going to see it more. And I'm trying to fade out to nothing because I don't want to have a harsh line right in the middle of my page. So I'm going to lift that off the mat and I'm going to move it right along. I'm just going to secure it down with washi tape. It does help. Well, it did help me in this case. And again, I'm concentrating right here at the bottom because that's what you see the most. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not leaving little harsh lines at the top also. So I like the way that this is turning out. I really like the color. I like the look and feel of this stencil. So we're going to repeat that one last time right here at the edge. And again, I'm going to concentrate my efforts on the bottom of the page and the edge, because basically once I add my title to this, you're not going to see the center all that much. So I really, really like the way this turned out. And we're just getting started here. This is the first layer that I'm adding to my base page. And again, I'm not too concerned about the center because my title is going to go right on top. So let's take a look. Doesn't that look awesome? I really like how whimsical this is, and I think that that's the look that I was looking for. Now I do want to blend in my bottom background, if you want, with the top. So I'm going to add a little bit of ink here on the side just so that there's a nicer transition between the white and the edge of those little splash lines, if you want. So I'm going to do that all around the bottom and on both sides, and it's also going to help ground that color a little bit more. So you can see here that I've added quite a bit of ink, and I went light, like a nice light touch, and I did several layers. So this takes a little bit to build up, but I really like the way it turned out. So for the next step, I'm going to be stamping with these two colors right here. Remember, I told you we were going to use this awesome stamp set. So I pulled a few colors from those photos. I've got avocado here and green apple, and you're probably thinking, really? Yep, those are the colors. And I am going to add a little bit of ink on this stamp. I'm kind of mixing both of those colors. I'm using the avocado at the top and then some of that green apple at the bottom. So I'm going to start right here on the left hand side, and I'm going to stamp first generation, and then I'm going to go right below in second generation. And this is really, really easy. And by adding a little bit of ink with your sponge dauber, you can really control how dark or light this stamps on your page, and I really like that. So you saw me adding a little bit of avocado at the top, and here I'm adding a little bit of green apple at the bottom, and I'm just building my page right here on the left hand side. You can also rub off a little bit of that ink with your fingers. You saw me do that. And then I'm going to carry that over onto the right hand side, and I'm even going to stamp on top of that stencil area. I want to have a seamless blend between the two textures. So I'm going to continue that, and you'll see how it looks really great. It picks up on that green that's in the photo, and it just gives it a really nice mixed media look with not a lot of work, to be honest with you. So you've got that nice balance of green that's kind of going into the stencil at the bottom. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. I just want to have a little bit darker right here in the corner, and I think I need a little bit more on the other side. So it's kind of fun to make your own background. I think that looks good. So we're going to add a little bit of ink distressing. So remember, we did the ink distressing at the bottom, so now I'm going to do the green at the top. So very much like the bottom, I'm going to add a little bit more concentrated ink at the corners, and I like the way that turned out. You've got that nice green pop at the top of the page, and then it flows right into the blue that's at the bottom. Let's bring back our title. It's time to bring in that beautiful pattern paper, and I'm really loving the way this page is turning out. Let's put these photos in so that I get a better visual, and it is so bright and fun. But I do want to expose a little bit more of my work that I did right here at the bottom. So I'm going to use just a water line. It's just a water brush, and I'm just making myself a little line here so that I know exactly where I want to rip that piece of paper. And it's just a little thing that I like to do. It gives me a little bit more control. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to rip towards me because I want to see the exposed edge. And just like that, I know that this is going to fit perfectly. And now I get to see a little bit more of all of that nice work I did. I'm going to roll off the edges right here to give it a little bit more character. And we're going to pop that right here at the top of the page. We're going to move our photos at the front. And it's looking pretty good. So for the unexpected, remember I told you I was going to bring something a little unexpected? Let me just clear off some of my desk. Do you remember this stuff? This is pearl paint. I've had this in my stash for, 15 years. I don't know. It's been with me for a very long time. And who says you can't use paint with stencils? It is the perfect color for this background, and you will see that in just a moment. I'm going to secure down my stencil right here. This is so old I can't even open the cap anymore, so I have to screw this off, and then I'm going to add some on my all-purpose mat, and I'm just going to spread this on like butter, and it looks so good when it dries. It's got that perfect sheen. You can still see through it, but it's got that really nice pearl finish. And you know what? Now that I've found this and I'm using it with my stencil, I think I'm going to be sad because this bottle is almost empty, but it's going to be perfect for this layout. So it is paint, and I'm not sure if you're supposed to use paint like this, but you know what? I am using it, I'm loving it, and it's gonna turn out absolutely fantastic. So this is my mixed media that I'm adding to this page. Let's take a look. I really hope that the camera is picking up all of that pearl finish. Let me bring this up. Isn't that cool? You can still see through it, but it's got this really neat pearl finish. So I'm going to clean up my mess right here, and I really tried to use my stencil on the other side, but I knew I was going to get it all over my page, so I took 2 minutes, washed it off, And now I'm going to position it on the other side. I'm going to secure it down, and I'm going to repeat that process. Now, I don't want to waste my paint because I really don't have a lot of it, but isn't this cool? So if you have paint, why not give it a try? It might surprise you because this was completely unexpected. I was looking for something that would shine. Definitely I could have used stickles, but I just really like the way this turned out on my layout. So I'm going to spread that as thinly as I can. That's why I use the larger spatula. And let me lift that up. And I didn't really go all the way down here at the bottom. It kind of has a rough edge, so I'm going to try and smooth that out. And then we're going to lift that, and it looks really, really good. I was really surprised and really pleased with how this turned out. Let's take a peek. Isn't that awesome? And that's just paint. So who knew, right? Sometimes you have to do a little bit of experimenting. So while that's drying, I decided to take my fan brush. I've already added a little bit of water to the fan brush. I'm going to bring back my pearl paint because I just think it's like a newfound toy. It's actually a lot of fun. I'm going to bring in a little bit of Lagoon Reinker, and I'm going to add a little bit of color to this paint. Well, a lot of color to this paint. I really like the way this is so saturated. It looks really, really good. So I'm just going to mix that up. And you know, to be honest with you, I mixed up a little bit too much. You can see here that the paint is really thick on my fan brush. And even if I use my bone folder, it's not really tapping off. So I'm going to have to use a little bit more water to make it a little bit runnier. And I think that that's going to work better. Yeah, I think that that's going to go. So we're going to add a little bit of splatter to this background, and it looks really good. At first I thought it was going to be too dark, but that pearl paint really changes the color, as you can see. So I'm tapping some on top of the stencil that I did on both sides, and it looks really good. So I was this was like a happy accident. To be honest with you, I was looking for something shiny, and this was in my stash, and I thought, why not? I love the way this turned out. I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to continue on with the assembly. So I've gone ahead here, and everything is nice and dry, and I am loving how this turned out. I did add this piece of paper right here at the top, and we're just going to do a dry fit together. I'm going to add my photos right in the center, this gorgeous title. I really like the way that turned out. And we're going to add the subtitle, which was cut out of my Cricut. There it is. It says Grandma's Pool. So I think that was nice and fitting. I love all the play on textures and colors. I did go ahead here and I stamped these flowers. I used this one here and this one, and I did use peach. I felt that that was a good combination with this layout. And I did use my Spectrum Noir marker for the center of the flowers right here. So it's the Coral Blend and it's the dark shade. I just find that it finishes off the flowers really nicely. So we're going to add a few here on the left hand side. I'm going to pull my photo. There we go. And then we're going to add a couple more here. Let's add this one here first at the bottom so you have a nice flow of the page. And then I'm going to add these ones right here on the right hand side. So I'm going to tuck them underneath, and I think this looks really, really good. I did cut a whole bunch of little branches on my Cricut. I did use vellum just like Chelsey did. And I love that you're adding another layer, but it's not visually distracting. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I do like the fact that these were done out of vellum. So we're going to add them here and there on the page, and I'm just tucking them underneath the larger flowers. And when I do the assembly, I will actually use 3D foam dots to pop up those flowers, but I think it's going to look really good. Let's take a look at the completed layout. Everything has been adhered down and I love the results. I love how this page turned out. I was completely inspired by my very good friend Chelsey, and I hope that I've inspired you to take out some older products and have a play with them. You never know what you're going to end up with these types of pages. I was able to add a couple of tags here and hidden journaling right here at the top, and I think that it completes the look of this page. Let's move this to the side and let's take a look at Chelsey's layout one last time. This is her left page. I was completely inspired by her work and I was able to scrapbook these photos right here. Now, if you need some help for scrapbooking, we have a brand new sketchbook. You can find all of the information down below. Don't forget to come back and watch all of the CDT's videos. You can actually catch them right here. Click on this link on the right hand side and watch the entire playlist. That's it for me today. I'll catch you next time.